Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Adam Roxby here again, the host and producer of the Student Nursing Times podcast, with another video showing you how we go about making the show. And just as a quick recap, if you haven't watched the other videos, the first video is about the overview of the podcast, so the broad themes. The second is about the workflow, so how we get from the idea to the actual finished product. Third video is about the recording and the actual editing of the show, and in this video we're going to be talking about publishing and getting the file up to the internet and published to all of our subscribers. So we're going to have a look at the desktop now, where the show has been recorded, it's been edited, it's all been finished, finalized, and now we've just got the completed show as an MP3 file sitting on the desktop. So we're going to have a look and see what we do to it from there. There's a couple of things we need to do first. We've got it named correctly, episode 4 for August, student buddies and social networks and all that sort of stuff, but we need to spruce it up a bit, make it look a little prettier. So what I do, and as I've said before many a time, this is just how I work. It's not the way, it's not the only way to do it. So we have our album art over here. This is a 600 by 600 pixel picture, which I created. We have the template, which stays the same, and the background picture changes depending on what the episode is about. And as this one's about social networking, we thought this would be a nice, appropriate image. So what we need to do is I open up iTunes and we go over to music, and we just drag the show in there, right click and get info. So we now have the information for the episode. So we're just going to go through and edit some of these. Now we follow a sort of a naming convention, which I have saved in here. And this is the sort of naming convention that we follow for the show. I'll explain a little bit as I'm going along. So paste that in. SNTP is obviously the name of the podcast, Student Nursing Times Podcast 4.0. The reason why we have a point, which may be of interest, is that sometimes we may do in the future a bonus episode. So halfway between episode 5 and 6, perhaps we could do a bonus show. So that'd be episode 5.5 for halfway between. It's just how we do it. For August, and it's not Breaking Bad news, it is student buddies and social networks. Artist is not me, it's the Nursing Times. The album is the student, what the hell if I could spell really, couldn't I? There we go. Sorting, not really important. Options. Remember playback when playback position. So if you navigate away, then so if you leave the application that's playing the audio and you come back, it will remember where you played, so we have to go through all this track again, which is useful. But hopefully when it comes through as a podcast, that will happen automatically. Lyrics, this is where I put in the actual show's description. So this description here that you see, which details every aspect of the show, I just select all of that, copy that and paste that in there. And finally we have the artwork, which I'm just going to click on add, navigate to the desktop and select the image I showed you previously. And now when I click OK, hopefully you should see the show update. No, it hasn't. Okay, well that's not a problem. Not a problem at all. One thing you have to be able to do is figure things out if they don't quite go according to plan. So drag and drop in there. Okay, there we go. Now it's worked, and now you can see the icon has updated. The Student Nursing Times Podcast, Episode 4, Student Buddies and Social Networks. we now need to get it out to people, because obviously nobody's going to hear it if it's just sitting on my desktop. And the solution that we use is this site, archive.org. And what this website does is they have an internet archive of music, of written words, of old websites as well. And their mission is to try and catalogue as many Creative Commons or open source or non-commercial licenses and loads of different types of audio. And this is a great free solution for hosting. There's a couple of downsides, but on the whole, because we're having a bit of a budget operation here, this works best for us. And you see all of our previous episodes and our promos and all the other files associated are also hosted here. So we've got a collection of our promos and our other shows, and I'm just going to go up to edit item up at the top here. I want to change the files in my item, click on that. And here we can see all of our files there on the left, all the way there. So just click on this button, which is the share button, navigate to the folder, to the file even, which is there, and click on open, and you'll notice it's starting to update here. Now, once this is done, I'll click on update item and it will then be hosted. The file will then be on a server somewhere for people to download, for iTunes to download to people who have subscribed, and for people to embed in various music players. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video, let this do its thing, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so we've got the file uploaded, and if we scroll down you'll be able to see it's listed there, so that's all done properly. Now, getting a file onto a server is only one part of the puzzle. The next thing we need to do is actually inform programs like iTunes and Stitcher Smart Radio and the BlackBerry Store and all these other places where you can find podcasts. We need to tell them that we have a new show out, and the way we do that is using a process called RSS, and that stands for Really Simple Syndication. What that does, it means that listeners don't have to check our website all the time to find out whether an episode is out. We tell them. So in a sense, an RSS file, all that is a text document which lists the details of the new episode, and programs like iTunes checks for that periodically to download the next show. So we write an RSS file, upload it to a server, and then programs like Google Reader and iTunes checks to see whether there's a new episode out each day or each week or whatever. Now, the way we do it on the Mac and the way I do it for the show is I use a program called Feeder. So if we scroll over to this program, which basically creates the RSS file needed to inform the world that we have a new episode out. So let's just scroll over there, and here we have it, and you can see the details of the last 3 episodes of the show already there in our feed. And since we've already made one, it's a simple process of just copying and pasting the previous show and just changing some of the details, but I'll go through it and explain what I'm doing as I go. So the first job is to, if I just find an episode like Dealing with Bad News is down there, but we choose the latest show, which was Donating Blood and a Recuperation. So if I just copy that, and if I open it up, you can see all the details that an RSS reader would need, such as the title, which I'm going to change to reflect the latest episode. So if I was writing all this by hand, it'll be some pretty complicated looking coding, but this basically simplifies everything. So it means we can do it in a really easy way and not have to worry about any of the hard things. Article link, now that's actually a link to my blog. Basically what the article link does is it's basically saying what web page is associated with this file, and as this is I'm recording on a Thursday and it's not up yet on the Student Nursing Times yet, so we'll put my article in there. Duration, I happen to know it off by heart, which is a sign of a good editor. Enclosure, now this is what powers RSS. The enclosure link has to be the link to the MP3 file that we have uploaded previously. So this basically attaches the information to the actual file. Description, well, this is the description of the show, which we embedded into the MP3 file a little earlier, so that's really easy. So what I need to do is just copy that again and paste that in there. iTunes summary, well, I just have the same thing. And iTunes subtitle. Now, that's the little description that you get in the iTunes store, which gives you information about the show. It's like the little synopsis as to what you can expect. So you get a shorter character limit to be able to give your description. So I'm just going to pop in a little bit of blurb that explains what the forthcoming show is about. And so I've just fast forwarded it and added my little bit of info. Close that and save, and you notice up in the left there you've got a little dot which shows that there's a new show which hasn't been uploaded. So now all we need to do is publish, and I've already put all the server details in, but basically you need to find a place on a server. You can either get you could publish it to archive.org, or you could publish it to your own personal site. So for example, I'm using my site to hold the file, and then programs like iTunes or Google Feed Reader will look at that file and notice that there's been a change, and will then download the new episode for everybody. And it's uploading now, and it's all done. So that's pretty much it. The file has now been uploaded to a server. The RSS file has now been updated to reflect the fact that there's a new episode out. And now iTunes and all the other podcast downloading software will have seen that there's a change in the RSS file and in the RSS feed, and so we'll download the new episode to everybody. So that's pretty much it for this episode of the how-to guide. In the next show, in the next video, we're going to be wrapping up and going through any questions that people have raised during the making of these videos, and go through anything else that didn't really have a place in the previous videos. But thanks very much for watching, and I'll speak to you all next time.